A stranger on a plane asked about my wedding ring. 20 minutes later, we were both calling divorce lawyers. I was almost at the gate when my husband called to ask where I put the TV remote, and I missed my flight by 4 minutes. I was so annoyed I almost screamed. I had already been running late when he kept calling, texting that I needed to answer because it was an emergency. Then he said, "Babe, I can't find the remote anywhere, and you know I can't sleep without the TV on." I told him it was in the nightstand drawer where it always was. He said, "I checked there." I said, "Check again." He checked and said, "Oh, there it is. I love you. Have a safe flight and I'll see you in 2 weeks." That's how our marriage worked. Victor was a consultant and traveled constantly, so we only saw each other the first half of every month. I had accepted it years ago because when he was home, he was perfect. He texted me a few minutes later saying, "I miss you already," with a bunch of heart emojis. I smiled at my phone like an idiot, and then realized I was 4 minutes late and my flight was gone. The gate agent got me on a flight 2 hours later, and I settled into seat 14A. A woman about my age sat down in 14B and smiled at me. She said, "Please tell me you're not a nervous flyer because I am, and I need someone to distract me." I laughed and said, "I'm not. Talk to me about anything." She introduced herself as Danielle, and we started chatting about where we were headed and what we did for work. She mentioned her husband traveled a lot, and I said mine too. I barely see him. She said, "Isn't it the worst? I keep telling myself I'll get used to it." I said, "You do eventually." Danielle looked at my ring and said, "That's beautiful. Your husband picked that out?" I said, "He designed it himself. He's very particular about things." She laughed and said, "God, mine too. He has opinions about everything, even stuff that doesn't matter." I said, "Does yours make you watch the same 3 movies over and over?" She said, "Yes, actually. He's obsessed with old westerns. I've seen Tombstone probably 40 times. My stomach did something strange." I said, "My husband loves Tombstone." She said, "Well, it is a good movie." I said, "Does yours have any weird food things?" She said, "He won't eat cilantro. Acts like it's poison." I felt my hands go cold. I said, "Mine either. He says it tastes like soap." She said, "That's exactly what mine says." We both went quiet. I said, "This is going to sound crazy, but does your husband have any scars?" She said, "He has one on his left hand from a car accident when he was 19. Why?" I couldn't breathe. I said, "What half of the month does he travel?" She looked confused and said, "The first half. He's